Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. YSN Live, DJ Yoakley, Anthony Hartwig with you. We got some green just past St. Patty's Day as the time everybody's looking at this right now. And when we're talking about green, there's only one team you can really think of when it comes to baseball, and that is the West Branch Warriors. And we have a couple players to talk to today, and naturally one of them, the leader of that team, seemingly for as long as we can remember, Boston Molnix. We're excited to have him. We'll bring him on in just a minute. But when you're thinking about West Branch, obviously state title comes to mind because they're fresh off of it. What are your expectations for this team this year, Ant?
Well, anytime you're coming off of a state championship, I think the expectations go through the roof. And I think the thing about West Branch this year, they're going to have to make sure that their standards and their expectations stay in the building and they don't listen to any of the outside expectations that come with that success that can really bring unwanted pressure and kind of, of that this unneeded, unnecessary pressure to your team. Just keep the success and the standards inside your own building.
Well, let's talk to the main man himself. Ladies and gentlemen, this time we bring in a state champion, a leader, not just on the field and the diamond, whatever playing surface he's on, but one in the community. He is the one that every boy growing up in Beloit wants to be like. Ladies and gentlemen, Boston Molnix. What's up, Boston? How are you, dude?
Good. How are you guys?
We're well. Thank you very much. We appreciate you taking some time out. Obviously, you guys defending state champs. You want to be able to defend it this year. There's a lot of expectations. We talked about it a little bit in the pre-show. For you, what are some of those expectations you feel that are going to be expected of what you guys bring to the table this year?
Yeah, I think this was pretty evident last year. You're going to see a team that's going to play the game the right way. Don't really have too many guys that are very flashy or that will stand out, as one of our top guys in the state. But, we're all our chemistry together is pretty well, and we're just going to play the game the right way. And obviously it can lead to good things sometimes. And I think obviously the expectation is pretty high after last year, like you guys have said. But, we're going to play baseball our way, and, we're going to work as hard as we can, and we'll see what happens.
Boston, I'm going to ask you about the things that I said before we brought you on. I'm sure you guys hear a lot of outside expectations and people telling you what you should and should accomplish this year outside of your own locker room, outside of your own dugout. How do you kind of keep it contained to just what the team standard is and what the team expectations are for yourselves?
Yeah. Actually, last year too, we had pretty high expectations as well, and we as a team were able to manage it pretty well. Dealing with outside noise from other teams, other coaches, other players, and it was always just about us. As long as our players kept the we over me mentality that we did the entire year, I think we stick with that this year. We're gonna have good things to come again.
It's easy, obviously, to sit there and say, "Hey, we want to repeat," right? Because that's easier said than done always, as you guys know better than anybody. How do you keep your mindset in a kind of locked into a game by game basis? Because you don't want to get too far out over your skis. But obviously you guys have the talent to repeat if indeed you want to, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was pretty much going to say what you just said. Even last year we had the one game at a time mentality. Like you can't play the next game until you finish this one first. Like when we were playing Kenston in the regional championship to make it to state, we weren't scouting ahead yet. We were focused right on Kenston. And then once we win that game, then we can move on to the next one and try to plan for that.
Of course, the hard-hitting questions we're asking are all about how you're dealing with outside noise and expectation and all that. But let's just talk about the confidence level of this team, right? You're coming off a state championship. You got to celebrate that last year. That's got to give you guys a lot of just, unbridled confidence going into this year that there's no reason why you can't go and run it back.
Yeah, obviously there's some confidence, but, a lot of us as a team, it was – try not to get our heads too big, like obviously we won it last year. It was a great experience, but we might be good again, but it's not the same team. And you just got to start back from square one again. Everyone's record 0-0 when you start the year this year. So, last year was fun and nice, but that's out of the picture now. Anybody can go and get it this year.
New faces, new places. Obviously, you have a very familiar last name when it comes to leadership of the West Branch Warriors. Coach Wolf, he's been around the block too, and obviously he's a great leader in his own right. What things do you have to expect from him? I mean, when you're talking about trying to fill in a state champion head coach that you know pretty well, what are some of the things that you're expecting from your head coach this year?
Yeah, my dad and Coach Wolf, they have a great relationship together, as well as all the coaches on our staff. And my dad was planning on him taking over for a while. But like he was going to be an assistant my senior year and let somebody else take over. But he's a great coach. We trust everything he does. Even last year, the stuff that he was doing, he's still incorporating that this year. He's still our infield coach. He's still my coach. And pretty much like the roles that they had as coaches last year were kind of shared, and they're still going to be shared this year. There hasn't been like a really shift of power, I guess. It's been, now it's just instead of my dad's name going on the lineup sheet, it'll be his name. But even last year, he had a big role in our team. I believe that without Coach Wolf or my dad or Coach Alzaz, any of the coaches we had on our staff, what we did last year isn't accomplished.
And with everything staying kind of the same, like you said, besides the name that goes up on the lineup sheet, I do want to ask, what are some like stylistic differences maybe between Coach Wolf and your dad that you'll see as a head coach? How do they coach differently?
Look at that smile.
What are some
Look at
changes?
that smile.
Yeah,
he knows it. He knows the
Personally, it's a little different because, my dad can get as hard on me as he wants and nothing's going to happen, where I think if he did some of the stuff he did, he probably wouldn't be a coach. But, just their personalities are a little bit different. Coach Wolf's more of kind of, let's have a positive outlook on everything. You make an error. Okay, your last 4 ground balls, you haven't made an error. So look at that, where my dad would kind of, his mentality would be like, don't make another error, if that makes sense. And it's good to have both. It's all about knowing what kind of kids you have and what you can say to each kid. And they both do a really good job at that.
Now, obviously, we've talked about the leadership styles of your head coach changing. From you going to last year, this year, have you felt your leadership style change at all?
Yeah, kind of. Obviously, during football, it was, a little bit more of a leadership change, going from our senior quarterback, Bo Alzaz, who's at Walsh now. He's also on that team. But, settling in JT at quarterback, who's also on our team as a junior with not very much quarterback experience, really kind of having to help him out, which he did a good job too. But, this year it's kind of all those guys that started last year on that state team. Like, we had all been playing together for such a long time. We were all leaders around each other, if that made sense. Now with half of those guys gone, we're going to have guys that we haven't, aren't as familiar with, but are still our teammates. And we're going to have to help them, develop and get back to where we were.
By the way, can we just say, I know this is a baseball interview, but what a fantastic football season you had. What an incredible just year that you had, especially like you said, you had some more responsibilities put on your shoulders as far as leadership, and what you were able to do on the ground, man. We haven't seen a season like that in a long time.
Thank you.
So congratulations on that. But as we shift more to baseball again, what are some of the things that you're focusing on this year that you think you want to kind of improve on, or things that you're trying to, get better at as a baseball player this year?
Me personally, or just us as a team?
Yeah, you personally. What's on your goal board?
I'd like to have a little bit better of an offensive season than I did last year. But me struggling last year offensively, it was picked up by everybody else in the lineup, defensively, offensively, pitching. I didn't really have the offensive season I wanted to have, but they had my back, and we were able to get it done as a team. So I'd like to be able to put the bat on the ball a little bit more this year. There's always room for improvement, especially in a sport like baseball where there's so much failure. Trying to be a better base runner, trying to make less errors in the infield, all of that.
Not easy to be a multi-sport athlete like yourself, but it's also not easy to have to make tough decisions when it comes to, if you want to play something at the next level, when you've done so much in every sport seemingly that you've played in. For you, how do you want to play at the next level, or is your intention to play? Do you want to be a multi-sport athlete at the next level as well, or are you going to try to narrow it down as you kind of navigate those waters?
I'll just be playing football in college. At Baldwin Wallace, just football, no baseball, which is sad. I love baseball. I love the sport. My dad's always been my coach. I'm going to miss it a lot, but football is my calling.
Was it a tough decision?
Actually, we kind of knew this decision was going to happen for a while now. The summer before my sophomore year, I tore my labrum in my shoulder. was going to be a 9-month recovery. We kind of didn't hurt to play football, only hurt to play baseball. It was kind of, you have to make your decision now which one you want to do. And I chose football then. So that's been my goal for about 3 years now.
We're proud of you, man. That's awesome. That's to be able to, I mean, anytime you're able to play at the next level, but I'm certain you would have had your pick, had you been healthy from that standpoint. And probably even so now, people would be like, yeah, we're good with the labor. I'm like, if you just want to come and be part of our team.
Right.
And I know they've got some great sports, obviously great teams at B-Dub. So congratulations, man. We're proud of you here. And thanks for representing the area so well.
And talk more about B-Dub and what kind of made you want to go there. What made it feel like the right spot for you to land, and what went into that decision?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, our state championship run cut into June and kind of took away some of the recruiting I would have had during that summer. Actually, a lot of people don't know this either. About a week after our state championship game, I tore my groin off my bone during practice and ended up playing the entire year of football on it. I just had surgery in December. I'm all good from that now, starting baseball back up. But being hurt that whole summer kind of killed. I couldn't go to any camps. I was strictly just taking time off to get ready for the season, in hopes that it would feel better, but it didn't. End up being torn. So, I mean, that's a big summer recruiting wise, going into your senior year, going to camps, talking to colleges and stuff. And I kind of ended up missing out on that whole summer. But, right around that time, BW started reaching out, got me up for a few visits, one of the game, had another visit after the season was over. And it was just the brotherhood I felt up there with, their coaches, their players, their guys. And I feel like they're headed in the right direction. It's just a place I want to be a part of now.
Boston, I think that one of the things that I like about you most, your game, is, you do a lot of great things in the X's and O's, but dude, mentally, you might be one of the toughest sons of guns I've ever seen, met in my entire life.
Thank you.
You just talked about those injuries. There's a lot of kids, there's a lot of people that won't play hurt. They won't play injured. Mm-hmm. You have gone through bumps, bruises, tears, all that stuff. What is it about the mentality of you're going to fight through it no matter what? And what would you tell someone who is, I don't want to say soft, but you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Like, what would you tell someone that, hey, every time you get hurt, you got to pull yourself out of the game or take yourself away, from a teammate standpoint? Why do you keep going?
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, first of all, there's a difference. If I know that I'm going to, if I can go back out, I'm going to hurt myself even more, then there's a difference. But once I knew, hey, it's just going to be pain, you're not going to be able to hurt it any worse, then I love football. I love baseball. I want to play. I don't want to sit there and watch the game I love being played without, and I like knowing that I can go out and play, it's going to hurt, but I'd rather play. It's just, I love the game and I want to be able to play. And sometimes, you're not always going to feel your best, especially in some cases, maybe the whole season, but I knew I had one more year of high school football and I didn't want to miss it.
I like that you said there are some days where you don't feel the best. I'm sure there were days in the football season, maybe even now in the baseball season, where you just like, man, I'm not feeling it right now. But you have that fire. You have that fire that keeps you going. Mm-hmm. What's your fire? What's the thing that keeps you passionate about wanting to be there for your teammates and wanting to play this sport?
Yeah, I love the teammates I have around me. I love the West Branch community. And, I think it's the kind of the precedent that was set by West Branch, being a blue-collar community. Like, we have all the people that live in this town, whether they're sick, whether they're hurt, they get up and they go to work every day and they collect their paycheck. And it might not be the best work, it might not be the most fun, but they still do it. And I think, I take pride in playing at West Branch and, being a part of that, to where looking up at people like my dad, my grandpa, my grandparents, like if he woke up and he was not feeling perfect, I know he's still going to be at work and he's going to be there on time. And that's just something I take pride in, and try to, translate that to the football field, baseball field as well.
Dude, I love that everything about you is green except your collar, because you are a blue collar kid, lunch pail kid, and fun to watch. You've been incredible to watch over your career. We are all better for being able to witness it. We're grateful for you and everything that you've done for the sport of football and baseball. And dude, cannot wait to watch you take the diamond for one more year. Thank you so much for the time that you spent with us today. And go green. Go green.
Go green.
Thanks, Boston. Appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you.